Mesdames et messieurs, the greatest festival of our contemporary society, the Olympic Games, is about to begin.
This is going to be close.
Oh! They're all completely gassed! They've given it everything on the global bucket! Oh, yeah! Go! Oh!
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But that is an Olympic championship.
Ready.
Hello, bonjour, and welcome to another episode of Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. If you love the games, we are the show for you. Each week we share stories from athletes and people behind the scenes to help you have more fun watching the games. I am your host, Jill Jess, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, hello, bonjour.
Bonjour.
How are you?
I am feeling very French. Okay, there is a Mariah Carey video that everybody must see. And she comes on, she says, Vive la France! We are in Paris! And that's us right now. I got to not hit the desk, though. We're in a different taping environment, and I have to behave.
That's right. We are in the Paris Media Center. We have been accredited for two different places, so it's going to be a little confusing because they sound very similar. There is the Games accreditation, that's Paris 2024, accredited us to go see events and participate in the Olympic aspect of the press. That is when we'll tape from the main press center. Then the city of Paris has its own media services. They're like pulling out all the stops to show off Paris to the media and get a lot of press and social content out there about the city. And that is the Paris Media Center. So we are there. It is in the Temple du Carreau, which is lovely. They've redone it. It's. We'll get pictures up and some video because we had a little cocktail party here when they opened it.
We've had a lot of cocktail parties already. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a stunning open space. You might hear...
I hear a vacuum.
I do hear a vacuum. This is pretty awesome. I did not expect that. It's way off in the distance. I don't know if it's attached to a lady or not, but... There could be vacuums here, but we've decided to tape here tonight because we're going to tape in both locations and get the show out to you. We will have stories about Paris and our time here so far later on in the episode, but first we wanted to share with you the last of our Team USA Media Summit interviews with Olympians. First up, we have Brooke Rabatou, who is competing in her second Olympics in sport climbing, this time in the newly revamped combined event that combines lead and bouldering. She finished 5th in Tokyo and won bronze at the most recent World Championships. We also have sport climber Jesse Grupper, who is competing in the combined event. This is his first Olympics. He is the reigning Pan American champion. Then we move over to Taekwondo, and we talk with CJ Nickolas, who competes at the 80-kilogram weight in Taekwondo. He earned his ticket to Paris by winning the Pan American Championships last year. Then we head over to the badminton courts and talk with Beiwan Zhang, who will compete in the women's singles tournament in badminton in Paris. She is the reigning Pan American champion. Then we're heading into weightlifting, where we talk with weightlifter Jourdan Delacruz, who competes in the 49-kilogram class. Paris will be her second Olympics. And we also talk with Hampton Morris, who is a 3-time world medalist in the 61-kilogram class. He's going into his first Olympics, but he is ranked number 2 in the world. Then we're heading to the archery range, where at only 20 years old, Casey Kaufhold is headed to her second Olympics in archery in Paris. In Paris, she is slated to compete in the women's individual event, the team event, and the mixed event. Then we're heading over to shooting, where we talk with Mary Tucker. Mary won silver in Tokyo in the 10-meter air rifle mixed team event. She will compete in 50-meter small bore rifle and both individual and mixed 10-meter air rifle. And then we talk with Morgan Pearson, who became the first American man to win a World Triathlon Championship Series event since 2009. Morgan won a silver medal in Tokyo as part of the American mixed relay team. Also, Morgan answered our most pressing question about triathlon.
And we have seen what the steps probably look like now, and it's an even more pressing question.
Right. And finally, we have Jess Savner, who is headed to her first Olympics in modern pentathlon.
Also, if I had known this when I spoke to her, we would have had different questions. A proud Connecticutian.
Take a listen to our interviews.
Hi, I'm Brooke Rabatou.
How excited are you that speed got separated out?
I am excited. Yeah, I actually loved doing speed climbing. I think it was really cool to participate in like that different aspect of the sport and be able to get that like linear progression and feedback in that way. It's very different than boulder and lead, but I'm really glad that both like the speed climbers get the recognition they deserve of those world records, deserving medals, and being able to focus on just that, and that for us, boulder and lead, like it's just very different than speed climbing. So being able to focus on, you know, what we do and enjoy most is awesome.
Do you think it was easier for bouldering and lead people to pick up speed instead of the reverse on that?
I think it really depends on the athlete and their abilities and skill set and strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, you could tell like there were some athletes that did really well in speed that were mainly boulder or lead focused, and then there was others that really it was hard for them. Same with the speed climbers. But I would say at that point, yeah, maybe overall the amount of time focused on speed, you were able to progress a lot more than for speed climbers focusing on boulder and lead, given the different like skill sets.
When you step up and get the problem, how long do you take to take in the problem before you start to solve it?
Yeah, it's a good question because like most people don't realize that when we turn around on those mats and see those problems, we've never tried them before, let alone even seen them before. So we have to figure out on the spot how to do them. Amount of time, it varies. Sometimes it's a really simple problem or there's like literally 2 moves and you don't have a choice. So you kind of see it, understand it, and get on. And others takes a lot longer. I've definitely worked on spending less time on the ground and more time on the wall and figuring it out and trusting my intuition, but it really depends.
You're a pocket princess like myself, so I can say that's you. How is that an advantage and how is it a disadvantage?
Yeah, what's really cool is climbing is for anyone, and there's a lot of different like body types and people that can excel in it and especially enjoy it. I think for me, I mean, clearly a weakness is just like, you know, length of moves and like especially vertical like jumps. That's always a hard one of just like needing more height for those. But strengths for sure, fitting in smaller boxes, being very flexible is helpful as well. And yeah, I think like having baseline like strength and physical ability to help challenge my vertical challenge.
You're taller than me, Brooke, so don't even worry about it. I know, he's waving time. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Jesse Grupper.
Okay. Boulder lead. How long do you try to sit there and analyze it before you hop up and start solving it?
Yeah, I think it depends on whether it's a boulder or lead climb. Typically with like lead climbs, I would spend maybe 40 seconds or so, getting the chance to look through it. With boulders, it could be anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds as well.
You're an engineer.
Yes.
So I'm assuming the engineering brain is the same brain that's doing the puzzle.
Yeah, they both, climbing and engineering, share a lot of similarities in the problem-solving aspects of them, whether it be, you know, trying to make an assistive device for someone who might need it, or approaching a new climb where you have to figure out the best way to go from the start to the finish. Both of them, you have to think creatively, and there's no one right solution.
I have a question about thinking because I'm always interested what athletes are thinking about while they're competing, but for this, you actually have to think while you're competing. So how does that work to not be overthinking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a constant struggle that us climbers like have on the wall. A lot of the time, we're both trying to map out our next moves well before we have to actually make them, so that by the time we get to them, we're like in action mode and we're not thinking and just moving. I think that for boulders it's a little bit easier because there's some time on the ground that you have to kind of reassess the situation ahead of you, whereas on a lead climb, maybe you're doing it on the wall, you're taking quick shakes or recovering on the wall, and you're like looking at your next few moves.
How's your grip strength?
My grip strength is actually not the best in the world, I would say, but it's pretty good.
So, I mean, like, comparatively, grip versus how much strength you need to push up, like, Is it 60-40, 30-50? You know, now I'm really showing my not math skills.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the ratio is between the two, but I will say that, 10 years ago or so, climbing wasn't a very leg-dominant sport. But where it is today, a lot of the movement with coordination moves where you have to throw your hands and your legs in different spots and be very precise, having greater leg power means that you have more time in the air and more time to react to situations. So it really has transitioned to being a really full body sport, whereas before maybe it just mattered how hard you could pull on like a 10 millimeter edge.
Excellent.
I see
Oh,
Tom
good.
Day.
Thank
We
you
saw
so
the
much.
move going
Appreciate
around.
it.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
It's good to meet you.
CJ Nickolas, Taekwondo.
You've qualified kind of early.
Yeah.
How has that been for you? How does the pressure build up? Does it build up? Or do you even know? What do you notice that's different now that you're
When I found out that I was going, there was this overwhelming sense of pressure that just hit me, and I started thinking about it, and this is a moment that I've always worked for, and in an instant became that moment. I was there at that point. I had done it. I was pretty excited, but going into training at the start of the year, I was super motivated, and it started turning sour because I was very perfectionist about it, and I was treating it like, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I was treating every moment like I was in an Olympic match, like it was the Olympic finals. It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself in every single moment, and so then every time I made a mistake, I would have like visions of me like getting kicked in the face or something like that at the Olympics or something. That was the bad part about it. But I just needed to find a balance. I was super motivated. I am super motivated still, and that pressure has alleviated. And I got to talk to my coach and my mom really about it, and they are two people in my life that really know how to bring me back from whatever extreme I'm on. So
They give you your security bag.
yes, they're my coach and my mom are my security bag, along with Pikachu.
So how did you reset to now make sure you're going to peak at the right time?
I just had to come to terms with the fact that I'm not at the Olympics right now, and what I'm doing right now is preparing for it, and that I am a human, I'm not Superman, and even Superman makes mistakes, so I just had to be okay with that and understand that I'm already prepared. Like, I don't need to get ready for the Olympics, I'm ready for it. I just need to make sure that I'm in the right mindset. Like, physically, I can win the Olympics right now, but I just need to make sure that I'm mentally ready for it. So making sure I'm getting myself out of my comfort zone, making sure I'm staying healthy, making sure that there is a balance, there's a yin and yang with it, you know what I mean? And really just making sure that no stone is unturned by the time I get there, so that there's zero doubt in my head. That was what I was dealing with a lot, was when I go into fights, these thoughts will come into my head about, oh, I didn't go hard enough in this drill, or I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And the times that I have felt my best in the ring is when the preparation prior to, I took myself to that place every day, and then I can just be free and confident in the fact that I've done the work and that I can do it. At this point in time, I feel like I've done that, so I feel like I would step into the ring and be happy with my preparation and, yeah, just go to work.
Fantastic.
How do you get your flexibility? Because, okay, so I'll come at this with, we've talked with artistic swimmers who have had problems with splits.
Yeah.
Taekwondo, you need, really flexibility.
Yes, you do.
How do you build that as a man that's maybe not innate?
We stretch every day during training. It hurts. It hurts a lot. So from a young age, when you're younger, before you hit puberty and stuff like that, before you get your man frame, you can, you get me? You're a little bit more flexible in that way, but you have to work on it every day, and it's something that I still have to work on every single day, that I've been doing since, it's one of those things in the sport that you have to work on from the first day that you're doing it, when you're beginning, to when you're an Olympic champion,
Okay, so then what's your flexibility routine?
My flexibility routine is it's normally set for us in our training schedule, and so we'll start training, we'll get our body warm, and then we'll do like a dynamic stretch rather than a static stretch. just to get the legs to open up, get the hips to open up and stuff like that. And then once we're about 30 minutes, an hour into training, that's when we'll start doing the static stretching so that our body's warm. You're not just trying to do it from like a cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like getting the body open and then stretching is the best practice. And then also what's really important that people don't know is stretching when you're finished. You don't stretch just to get the body to warm up. You want to stretch when the body's hot, when the muscle fibers have been working and stuff like that. And that's when you increase the flexibility, is after training. And so spending a lot of time after really opening up, you know?
Yeah.
And then also just rolling out is good practice, and then getting physio done for me is good practice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You get to sit with us. You look like you need to sit.
Yes, I really need it.
I'm so glad we can provide you with a resting spot. Do you get to eat after this?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
So we will be efficient. We are Keep the Flame Alive. We are a podcast for fans of the Olympics and the Paralympics.
Okay.
Can you state your name into the microphone?
Okay, my name is Beiwan Zhang. My sport is badminton. Yeah.
How is this for you to, you have 3 days of nonstop media, but most of the time people don't pay attention to badminton. So what is this experience? Is it a draining 3 days for you?
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I'm signing up for this. It's really exhausting. And then, I feel like, but I really want to, promote this badminton. I have to do this. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got to do it. Oh, okay. So as I was thinking about this, badminton lately has had a little surge with change of serve. Weren't they trying to change the serve in the?
Yeah, I think that was before last Olympics. They changed the height because before was under our waist, but right now it's under 110 centimeters. Yeah.
How does that change the game?
Of course, for tall people, they are not really comfortable. Actually, they have to bend down their knees to serve. Yeah.
Yay, short queen!
Yes. Yeah, for me, it's I don't really have that problem. So I'm lucky that I'm not that tall.
When you're watching badminton, you've never watched it before, except for the backyard game.
Mm-hmm.
What should we be paying attention to?
Actually, you guys have to pay attention to the speed and the reactions and mental games, and also the setting ups. Everything's really need really short time. We have to think about how we can set up for next shot. Yeah.
Can you try? When you're playing somebody, can you read their body and guess what they're gonna do, or is it hard to do that?
It depends your opponent, because some of opponent we don't usually against some small countries, but most likely if we play first set, after first set we will definitely read their body movements. Yeah.
What is it like playing in countries where badminton is a professional sport? I mean, not, yes, you're a professional badminton player, but there's no big badminton scene here.
Okay. For playing in the U.S. Because I started representing U.S. when is 2013. That time is not really popular, so. Every time when I pass through the immigration and they said, what are you doing overseas? I was like, oh, I'm a professional athlete. And they asked oh, which sports you are? I was like, oh, I'm badminton. And they'll say, what is badminton? Yeah, but lately they actually knows what is badminton. So it's great to see this sports actually people are knowing, and then it becomes more popular. Yeah.
What's a great country to play in when you get
great country? Probably is Indonesia, India, and China. They are crazy about this sports, and I think because this sports is for all the age you can play. Yeah.
So when you're there, but you're the American.
Yeah.
So you're the opposition. And how is that working when you're in that arena?
Oh, actually, like it's really proud to representing USA. And then when you walk in the village, I can feel like people are really look up for it. And our uniforms, everything is the best in the village. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to from the Olympic tournament?
I don't really have so much expectations, but I'm definitely gonna prepare as hard as I can, and I'm aiming for the medals this time. Yeah.
My mind is blank.
I know it's What? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How do you convince someone who hasn't watched badminton to watch it? What's your pitch?
Yeah, this is actually the fastest racket sports in the world, and if they really have a chance to see the real game, they will be really impressed how fast it is, because in the video when you watch on TV, it's definitely you feel so different. Yeah.
How fast do you have to change the shuttlecock? Because it's real feathers.
Yeah.
Right.
It depends. Like sometimes we miss hitting because the AC situations. Yeah. And also like there's a fast shuttles and slow shuttles. Yeah. And then also there's a drills. Every course is different. In the same stadium, every course is different.
Really?
Yeah.
Does like the air coming down,
Yeah, and also the wind, there's a layer.
Okay.
So sometimes we hit flat, we have to hit the light, and we hit high, we have to hit harder. So it also every course, the situation is different. So we have to, for example, today I play court 4, and next day I play court 1. Probably gonna be different situations. So we have to adjust on court. Yeah, because sometimes we don't able to have a chance to test in court before our games. Yeah.
Yeah, how much communication can you get from your teammates beforehand?
Not really, because we have a different events. We have 5 events, like singles, doubles, women's singles, men's singles, women's doubles, men's doubles, and mixed doubles. And then sometimes they mix it up. We might have a chance to meet each other, but sometimes we probably not gonna see each other in the whole week. Yeah, it's really funny.
So no one should tell you, court 2 is slow.
Yeah.
And the top half of court 3 is sticky or whatever.
Yeah, but if they're finished their game, but probably the wind probably gonna be changed. Yeah, right. Because it also depends spectators. If they have more people, they have less people. The winds are different.
Does a lot of cheering change? Because you have people yelling out and blowing, so that can change how the shuttlecock moves?
Yes, because the shuttlecock is really light, and then people are working through the door, also gonna change.
Wow.
So
masking made a huge difference.
Yeah, it's really hard for us. So just now the interviewer said what are you expecting? I don't expect.
You have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea because I couldn't control anything. A little bit has changed everything.
Okay, so now we know if someone is beating you to breathe on their side of the court.
Yeah, you actually can see on the video someone
do opponents do that?
Yeah, the opponent said when you're gonna hit to the net, this is almost over. They actually blow the shuttles.
And that's legal.
Actually, if you're not touching the shuttle, it's illegal. Wow. It happens.
Oh, now we really know what to watch for. It's like, is the coach sitting on the side just casually
no.
blowing at the...
Yeah, it's interesting. People actually sometimes they hit it out and they just trying to swing their rackets. It happens.
So they're not swinging racket in frustration. They're actually trying to
Yeah,
give it a little.
if we get close, that might change a lot.
You don't have to name names, but are there players where you're like, oh, I know they're going to pull this little blowing?
Most likely the men doubles players are always doing that.
Oh, now we know who to keep an eye on.
Yeah, men's doubles. Please watch men doubles. They do always doing that.
They need to sit in the corner. We need to discuss this with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's amazing.
So interesting. Now, I see us both going, badminton's getting, like we definitely had to put it on the, get there, make sure we get there.
Yeah.
Is it very distracting when there's so much I mean, I know you're used to it, but an Olympic arena is going to be that much more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got 10 matches going at the same time and all those different...
Actually, last 2 months ago, we actually play in the Olympic court, and probably they only have 4 courts going on. Yeah, but I actually play on court 3 and court 2. It feel different, but I'm not sure in the Olympics they're gonna be the same situations, because every time if they turn on the AC, the air blows in like different ways. It's gonna be different. So,
what is the floor like?
The floor is gonna be green, I think. Most likely, most of the time it's green. Court, yeah.
Okay. What is it made of? Okay. We'll end there.
I know.
Do you have a good wrap up?
I don't have a good wrap up. Usually I do. Thank you very much. and I know, we're so exhausted. What are you most excited? Who are you most excited to play against?
Oh, most excited. I like to against An Sai-young because I never really beat her. I want to beat her in the Olympics.
You heard it here.
Yeah, I will try to blow more.
We'll be there. We'll give it a good puff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Jourdan Delacruz, and I compete in weightlifting.
We're very excited to talk to you.
Yeah?
Because we had spoken to Phil Andrews when he was the head of weightlifting, and he said, oh, we have weightlifters who used to be cheerleaders. Like, that's a big feat.
Seems to be a good transition.
Yeah. There's a lot of us who have a competitive cheer or gymnastics background. I don't really know how that kind of happened, but it does kind of make sense from a sport athletic standpoint. You have to be flexible, you have to be strong, explosive, have a good sense of body awareness. So I think that transition is pretty easy for those of us who do have that background. And I think to age timing, you can go to the high school or college level in cheerleading and gymnastics, but after that, a lot of people are looking for a second sport, and so they find weightlifting.
When you have a good lift and you drop the weights, is there an ingrained like cheer move that would still, like I get up off the couch and I do a dismount?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding.
I've seen her do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see a video of that.
I'll make it happen. Every time I get off the couch, I do a dismount.
Yeah.
But does it just like come from within, like that cheer imprinting?
Yeah, I was made fun of a couple of times for some of my celebrations that looked really cheerleader-ish. I would say now, like, that side of me doesn't really come out as often. But when I do celebrate, it just comes from, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just so excited. And so whatever I'm doing, I mean, it probably comes out.
I was going to go into strategy. As you are more experienced in the sport, how much of the strategic side of the competition do you have input in?
I have a lot more input than I did going into Tokyo, and especially as a youth and junior lifter. And I think a lot of that comes from my coach having trust in me and my judgment, and also me being able to recognize how I feel and my body's signals. So I do feel like I have quite a bit of say on like the numbers that we choose, especially and in training too. Like I can say, hey, you know, I'm feeling this, and he'll take that and put it into a spreadsheet and be like, okay, let's roll with that. So I think that required time maturity from both of us and just better recognition with how I'm feeling.
How much of that goes into, like, do you set up a game plan going into a competition? And then how much of that changes based on how you're feeling during?
Yeah, I do my best when I do have a game plan that's focused on what I can do. So we pick warm-up attempts that make sense for an opener, which is a weight that you can do twice in a row. You know, like it's a comfortable weight. It's still up there. It still sets you up for a PR, hopefully, on your third attempt. And sorry, what was the other question?
What was there? Oh, like, how much do you change during competition based on like, oh, I'm feeling great, let's pump it, or like, ooh, maybe we dial back just a little bit?
Yeah, a lot of that is actually my coach's decision based on what the competition is doing. So if we need to change our plan by 1 or 2 kilos to be in medal contention, we will. So I think as an athlete, you have to be flexible with going off course and just trusting that you can lift the weights that your coach puts on the bar.
I've been reading a lot about this being the best Team USA weightlifting team in a generation, multiple generations. Where is that coming from for you as an athlete? Are you feeling that within the sport and within the team?
Yeah, I think going into this qualifications, we had just a lot of athletes who are so talented, and it really peaked going into this last year. And so to be a part of that, I kind of feel like I'm playing catch up. Like I've been in the sport for so long, and I've been doing similar numbers, and to see these other girls just pushing the boundaries for not only themselves, but for USA weightlifting, for where we stand from a world ranking standpoint. They're really breaking the barriers, and it's really motivating and inspiring to be able to compete still with these women.
Right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you
so much, Jourdan. Appreciate it.
My name is Hampton Morris.
We understand you've been bulking up.
Yes, ma'am. Just a little bit.
Okay, so why now, and in terms of the timing, given when the competition in Paris is?
Yeah, so ahead of competitions, for me at least, what I try to do is build up as much muscle mass as I can before I start losing weight, and I do a very gradual weight cut where I try to lose as much fat as possible while maintaining as much muscle as possible. But with this Olympic quad, it's been just so many quick turnarounds, some even as short as like a month between competitions. It's been really, really hard for a lot of people. Some people actually ended up dropping out of Olympic qualification because of that. Like they ended up pulling out of it. I'm very proud of how well I managed that part of it.
So if you've got quick turnarounds on competition, like, how do you fit a training plan into that as well, and recovery?
Yeah, it's just hard. Weightlifting is the only thing that I do. Pretty much everything else that I do, all my free time is put towards recovering from training and making sure I'm ready to train again the next day. It is the only thing that I do. It's my only focus. So I was very fortunate in that I was already kind of prepared for that aspect. I was already a little prepared for the quick turnarounds because of that. But, I mean, now I have 4 months before Paris, so I'm able to put on a little bit more weight, try to build up as much muscle mass as possible. Then maybe a month out, I'll start dropping that weight a little bit. Again, just try to lose as much body fat as possible.
How much of a swing are we talking about?
About 5 kilos.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't sound okay.
Yeah.
Because now I'm going to worry about it.
Because there's many weight class sports, and you hear stories of cutting weight and how difficult or how much people try to do it very quickly. But that's not a huge swing. It's just it's a process, though.
Yes, very much is a process. And again, I do a gradual weight loss before the actual cut. So it's very much a healthier way to do it than to try to just drive off as much water as possible without any other kind of preparation. My dad is my coach, so he is very much invested in my health and longevity as a person as well as an athlete.
Between the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Yeah.
What? I don't want to say what's your favorite because you gotta like them both in different ways. But how do you like the snatch and how do you like the clean and jerk?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm a lot better at the clean and jerk. The technique necessary in order for me to use my leg strength in the clean and jerk has been very natural for me. The snatch, I'm still working on learning how to use the leg strength that I've built up. It's just a matter of figuring out how to use my legs.
How do you work out a strategy going into competition with who's your competitors? How am I feeling? What weight do I start? How do you build that up?
So that's what the coaches worry about. All that I do is just focus on preparing myself as best I can in terms of staying focused with my training, with my diet, and then in the competition itself, just making lifts.
How many max lifts do you do in a session?
In a session?
Or however, in a week or in a...
Yeah, so I have one day a week that I max out on the classic Olympic lifts, but a lot of the time I'll have 3 or 4 other days where I'm maxing out on some variation or complex of the movements.
And what's the benefit of is it just balance and muscles, different muscles?
The variations?
Doing variations, yeah.
It's a kind of a natural way for me to limit the load, so I'm not going to be able to hang clean as much as I can clean from the floor. So even if I am giving max efforts on the hang clean day, I'm not going to be moving as much weight, and I'm not going to be feeling the effects of moving as much weight.
I was going to let him brag. What was that max that you hit in competition?
176 kilograms, which is about 388 pounds.
And what's your weight class?
61 kilogram weight class, which is about 134 pound body weight.
Do people ask you to move stuff all the time? You're at a good age of hey, I need to move my couch. This should be just hoisted on your shoulder.
I don't get out of the house often enough to be asked that.
Because you've got that weird grip you got to do.
Yeah.
You're like, it hurts my thumbs. You'll be all set. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Okay, Casey Kaufhold.
Yes. Okay, so you can be individual and team.
Yes.
When does a team form? Do you compete together regularly, or is this y'all qualified and now you're thrown together?
There are a few different ways to qualify the team. We actually just qualified a full women's team last week at the Pan Am Championships. So looking at it now, we kind of have an idea, with finishing up trials, of who the team might be. And we can, once trials are finalized, we'll start practicing together, getting more comfortable with each other. And most of the girls in trials I've shot with before, so that's kind of nice to have experience with them already. But as we get ready for the games, the biggest thing is just practicing, being comfortable with each other, and being able to trust each other in those high-pressure situations.
Can you build strategy for a match? Because, you always want to hit the 10.
Right. But, I'd say as far as strategy, there's not a lot of, I don't know how to describe it. There's not a lot of play strategy, if that makes sense, in football, soccer, basketball, that sort of stuff. But a lot of it is just creating strategies in your own team network. Something that we love to do is we like to kind of be loud in a way and have fun. So when one of my teammates shoots a 10, we all yell yeah, good shot, 10. To get a little loud and really into it, because I think most of the time that makes the other team nervous. They're oh my gosh, they're so hyped up. They shot perfect 10. And so in a way it's sort of a strategy, and it also just works the best for us as a team.
What kind of conditions are you expecting in Paris?
The last time I shot in Paris, it was world record breaking conditions. It was perfect. The sun was out. There was no wind, no rain. It was just beautiful. I would be shocked if it would be the same weather conditions this year around, just because that would just be so, so insane. But I'm hoping that I love shooting in the wind. It's so fun to me. I think it like adds a little bit of extra to it. You have to like aim off because the wind carries your arrow, you know, to the left or right depending on where it's what direction it's going in. And so I hope there's like, you know, a little bit of breeze, but still like nice and sunny and warm out.
What about shooting with the wind is good for your style of shooting?
I love shooting in the wind because I have a pretty aggressive shot, and so for me, like I know even if I don't aim off exactly where I need to, if I make an aggressive shot, it's still going to be there.
Okay, we better wrap.
All good? Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
My name's Mary Tucker.
So we had talked to Ginny Thrasher a couple years ago, and I'm totally fascinated with shooting. I've never shot any form of, and the stillness and the inner stillness. You're very young. How is that to be physically still and to be mentally still?
They're both very different things, honestly. It's been a really big journey with both of them. So physically, you know, going from not training at all to realizing that I need these fine-tuned muscles and I need all of these small things to be able to stabilize me and really work with my body as it is at that moment. And, you know, your body's ever-changing. So it's not like you can just do something once and it's going to work for the rest of your life. It's just something you always have to work with and something you've always got to change. But being accepting of that is really important. And kind of on the same note of acceptance is mentally knowing that you're not going to be calm, cool, collected all the time. Being more accepting of that instead of getting frustrated with it has been a really big thing. Really finding who I am as a person and who I want to be was life-changing. It took me a really long time, but I'm happy to say that, you know, I really feel like I'm confident with who I am now, and I really believe in myself, and that's kind of translated into shooting. I'm able to trust myself even more since I have a good mind-body connection, and I'm able to really work with everything that it gives me.
I mean, you're not that long finished growing in many ways, and your body is still very much developing. How has that changed? You know, do one day you walk into the range and just say, this just feels really different today?
Yeah, so it's a little difficult to have, you know, bodily changes with our suits that we wear. So it's been really interesting. In Tokyo, actually, you know, I weighed 115 pounds, but I weigh about 140 now. So it's been a really big change, and that's due to more education about nutrition and actually eating healthy and working out in different ways. So being on that journey of, you know, trying to better my body has also made suits not fit. And it's kind of, you know, there were a couple points where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't fit into this anymore. That's so embarrassing. And then it's like, no, it's not, because I'm actually more healthy now and being okay with that. And it's like getting to the realization of, I don't need to fit the suit needs to fit me. So going and making those changes to my equipment, making those changes to my positions that I need to do to accommodate all my bodily changes, I'm totally fine with that.
And you're a 19, 20, 21-year-old girl, totally separate from sport, and that bodily changes is hard on not athletes.
Right. And travel and stress add everything in, and, you know, different environments can really have a big impact and societal impacts on, you know, things that we think about and things that we necessarily didn't think about, but now it tells us we should, can have a big impact on anything.
Did finding the right body weight give you more stability as a shooter?
It didn't. Right now, actually, it was, but it wasn't so much as, you know, not finding a stable position. It was just that it was different. So I had a really big bit of time there where, you know, things felt really off, and I was just like, what is going on? Why is it like this? And then I realized, like, you know, my body has changed. I need to change the width of my feet. I need to move this one forward, and then I don't fall forward anymore. It's not that big of a deal. So it was, you know, getting out of that mindset of, oh, this is how I should be shooting. Why is it not working? And moving into, well, what is my body telling me I need? And then when you ask your body, what do you need? It will subconsciously do what it needs. So, you know, when I asked myself, where do you want to be stable? And my foot moved forward, I was like, oh, of course. So why don't we just listen to ourselves?
Because I think one of the things about shooting that's so interesting is that there's so many tiny details, and just that sliver of change makes a world of difference, and just trying to find that extra, millimeter here, millimeter there, makes all the. I mean, it's just kind of fascinating how much detail-oriented this sport is.
Yeah, it's very small details, and really everything can change a lot. Things move all the time, and something that is fairly common in shooting is to try and have the same thing every time. And while that's really great, I think it needs to be a little bit more publicized that you do want consistency, but there's a range of consistency. So instead of, setting the ruler down on the ground and making sure you're between this mark and this mark every time, give yourself, a couple inches, a little bit of wiggle room, because if you don't, then, when your body does change, it's going to be way off and you're not going to understand. Whereas if you maybe don't have the rule and you just know, I'm going to stand up there and where my feet are comfortable is where I'm going to stand, that's a better way to do it, because it just, allows yourself.
How do you find the balance between the necessary awareness of your body and an over-obsession, hyper-awareness that then becomes distracting?
There's definitely a really fine line, and I'm just now kind of overcoming that. Being able to find a healthy weight and realize what healthy is and what it feels like, what it looks like nutritionally and physically, mentally even. I was kind of just hyper fixated on, things are changing and why is it changing and I don't like the mirror and stuff like that. But, once you realize, like, I'm doing better, I am better, then it's kind of like, okay, so why, you have to look at why you feel those things. And that's what's helped me the most, is really saying, okay, if I say I don't like the mirror, why? What's wrong with it? It's not the image that I'm seeing, it's that, things have been said. So it's more of just realizing, being more accepting of what's going on and the changes, and that things change.
I'm gonna give Mom a hug. Why should we watch shooting? Let's end on that.
Shooting is one of those sports where it's either really interesting or really boring. And I am completely okay with that, to be honest. It's something that you watch it for the first time, and it's really intriguing, because it's like, what are they wearing? Why are they standing like that? That doesn't look like a rifle. There's all these things going into it, and then it's like, well, wait a second, what are they shooting at? Like, an electronic target? What is that? So it's, really intriguing to actually learn all these components of the sport, but then I think something that is also very interesting is looking at the differences between all the athletes. It's a sport for everyone, and looking up and down the line, there's people of all different heights and sizes and nationalities, and really everyone can shoot pretty much the same, It's just finding what's different for everyone, and maybe, hopefully, we can inspire some people to go out and try it on their own, because you never know. You might be good at it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The name's Morgan Pearson.
All right, we have one question for you. How are you training for the stairs, or preparing for the stairs at Paris?
Yeah, so I actually trained for them last summer.
Oh.
We had the test event.
Yeah.
And I practiced, I ran up them 5 times before the race. I have videos. I mean, this is a podcast, so I can't show a video, but I got everyone on Team USA to do at least one with me. So, and there, we had more than, I think we had 5 men and 5 women. So maybe I did 10, I sprinted up at 10 times.
How was it?
My transition last year in Paris for the test event was almost too good. I passed too much, I was with a little group, and then I got on the bike and I was too far ahead of that little group. So I had to wait for them, and then we biked and we caught up to the leaders after the first lap.
But they're stone steps.
Yeah.
And you're wet.
Well, they put a blue carpet rug on there.
Oh, okay.
But does that really make a difference?
Yeah.
Okay. We're concerned about your safety.
I mean, someone might fall, but I don't know.
But not Morgan.
Not Morgan. We saw this and we said, this is an insane idea to have steps in the middle of a triathlon.
Yeah, no, I was mentally preparing for it before the race, the test event, because I thought the same thing. I was like, this could be a kind of a make or break moment. So yeah, I think you guys are totally right.
How was the test event otherwise?
It was okay. It was fun. Yeah, I did. That's where I qualified, so that was nice.
Fun is an understatement then.
How are you recovering in between, qualifying and peaking at the right time? How does that process?
Yeah. The qualification race was in August, and then I raced to the end of September, and then I shut down my season because I was I was injured and dealing with some back pain during races. But I actually took like a month off, maybe more like 3 weeks, no training. I drank two protein shakes every day and ate lots of food, so I put on a little bit of weight, which was okay because I had like 9 months to get back in shape. So that's how I recovered.
I think putting on weight is an excellent way to recover.
Yeah. I mean, I was drinking so I saw this doctor, and he told me to drink 2 scoops of beef protein shake twice a day because he's like, this will help you recover from your injuries. And it was pretty nasty, and Was
it also beef flavored or?
It was chocolate flavored, which I don't know if it's any better or worse, but it was beef protein. And then I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and he told me to do it. He's like, yeah, just take that beef protein twice a day again. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I did it 11 months before, 10 months before, but I'm not going to do it leading up to it.
Okay, tell me, you don't have to answer this, but is there a big difference between your in-season weight and your out-of-season weight in other years?
I mean, not a big difference. I actually fluctuate weight a lot, but like during the day, like I'll weigh myself in the morning and then I'll be like 5 pounds more at night.
Same.
Which I don't know if that's healthy or normal or just me, but I would say in general, I could probably lose about 7 pounds from the off season to being in really good shape.
I can do that in a weekend.
Well, I could do that too, but like I mean a true 7 pound.
Right. Not
where the fluctuations like.
Yeah.
The,
it's not
the
like
low,
you're in a weight class sport where you got to make weight.
Yeah. But so my trick is I run on the treadmill, and I have someone take a video of me, and you could just see if you're in shape. Like you see my muscles. If you're lean or you're out of shape, that's the real test.
I never knew.
It's highly scientific.
Why triathlon? Because
in life you have to do things you're good at if you want to be the best in the world. And that I used to be a runner. I graduated in 2016 in college, and if you remember, that's when the Rio Olympics happened. And I was watching the Rio Olympics. So within the span of a week, I did an ocean mile swim with my little brother, and he was a college swimmer. I hadn't swam in like 5 years, and I beat him in the swim. I mean, I sat on him and used his draft and then out sprinted him.
Is he an older brother or a younger brother?
He's younger.
Okay, well there you go.
So he's a college swimmer, and I was like, wow, I just took 5 years off swimming, and I could still be a college swimmer in an open water race. And then a few days later, I was watching the Olympics, and it's like we're talking about weight. Like if I'm super skinny as a runner, I might be 150 pounds. I probably weigh like 40 pounds. Like I was never going to be competing for an Olympic medal in running. Like you see those guys, and I have 40 pounds on them, and they're built to run, and I'm built to do a triathlon, so I had to switch.
All right.
They're giving us the signal.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate
Good
it.
to meet you.
Jessica Savner.
Montpen 90-minute format. Yes. Tell us how that's going to work.
It's crazy. I actually love it personally. It's an unpopular opinion, but I adore it. But yeah, we do now the fencing ranking rounds the day before to cut a lot of time, and that puts you into the ranking round just to do the fencing in the time allotted. So you're just doing the ladder format, which means, for layman's terms, like if you're in 10th place, you'll fence the person in 9th place, and you'll do that all the way up to the top. So just to earn some extra points.
So that's instead of fencing everybody.
Yes, but you still do that. It's just the day before. It's not part of the 90-minute format. So that puts you into your rank for the ladder.
Okay. So on the day of the finals, what do we start?
The riding now. It's now the first thing you start. So, yep, that was one of the big changes. It used to be you'd start with the fencing, but now you start with the equestrian. So
how has that changed your training, that's a different rotation?
It hasn't changed I still train exactly the same, but it changes your mindset for the day for sure, because if you get disqualified in the ride, I mean, I guess you have the option to just not finish the day if you don't want to, or you know what, but it changes everything. Yeah.
Did they make the ride first because of weather? So that the idea being it's cooler when you start?
I have actually no idea behind the change. If I had to take a shot in the dark, I think maybe, the emotional toll of being like in first place all day and then to lose it is like a little bit much. At least if you start with it, then you kind of know what you're getting into for the rest of the day.
Okay, ride, then?
Then you do the fencing ranking round.
Okay, and how much time are you getting in between? That's a
Very quick.
That's a weird gear down and a weird gear
Sometimes
up.
like 5 to 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's very quick.
That's not even enough time to change.
Yeah,
Because
it's
both
fast.
both costumes, both uniforms
Yeah.
are complicated.
Nuts. And then you swim, and then you run. They run, shoot, last.
But the run shoot is also still the same format of when you go in order of ranking.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's now 5x600 and not 4x800, so it's the only change that's been made to that. So yeah, it's five laps now instead of 4.
So do you do an extra round of shooting?
Nope. So you just have. It used to be that you started with the shooting. Now you start with the run.
Okay, so the format keeps changing,
Yeah.
How is that on your head going into each new competition?
It's wild. I mean, it feels like we have a rule change like every 2 years, but they haven't been for us other than like what's happening going to the next one. It hasn't been something so drastic that we can't adjust. But yeah, I actually like the 5x600. It's a little bit better. So
I'm kind of excited to see this, and I'm to see the format shrink, and it seems like it's going to be a little peppier.
yes, higher energy. I think it's going to be easier for people to follow, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out at the Olympics.
Yeah, and it's tough that this is the only one it's going to be at.
Yeah, so we're never going to see the positive ramifications of it.
Are you running practice competitions as part of your training?
I'm going to World Cups. I'm actually leaving for one on Saturday. So I did one in Egypt back in March, and I'll do this one, and then maybe one more competition. But yeah, so I've been doing some practice competitions just to keep me sharp and work on certain things.
Was there a test event for Paris yet?
No.
Will there be?
I don't think so, no.
How do you make friends with the horse?
I like to just spend a minute, petting their head, petting their neck. I am a big talker to horses when I'm riding them, constantly cooing them, talking to them. And I don't know. I have always, my whole life, I've done that. So I don't know if it does anything good. It's never done anything bad. So.
How do you feel about? Well, this is a dumb question. How do you feel about competing at the side? Duh, it's going to be
It's
awesome.
amazing, yeah. I've been saying to people, it's been since I qualified, my least favorite question is, are you excited? Because I'm like, of course I'm excited. There is no feeling or emotion that does enough justice. Saying I'm excited, I'm excited to eat chicken tenders most nights. I don't know it's a little bit more than, feeling excited.
Wait a second. If those are coming with honey mustard.
Yeah.
But is there something overwhelming about the idea of the Olympics at Versailles that you have to try and prepare for?
I think that's going to be like an in the moment feeling. I have small moments now where I feel overwhelmed because I think when we spend as much time, I train amongst people who've either been to the Olympics or training for the Olympics, or they're on that path. So it starts to feel a little bit I hate to use the word normal because it's not, but we get used to it. We're used to people competing at this level. And so I don't get really so special just all the time. And then I'll walk into a local restaurant and, somebody who knows is losing their mind because they're so excited. And I have to remind myself oh, this is big. This is not normal. This is really exciting. And yeah, there's just something that's so gargantuan about being this, the Olympic Games, these things that I've been watching my whole life. That's been the pinnacle of sport and all my heroes have competed at. And I'm going to just be there. It's wild. Every single day it's a pinch me moment.
I have a totally random question. What's it like competing in Egypt? Because
I've competed there so many times.
But they're kind of a stronghold in the sport.
Oh yeah, so they have a lot of really good ones. They host good competitions. It's chaotic from the minute you land to the minute you compete. It's just a chaotic country. But I've been competing there so long. I say it's my penance because I begged my father my whole life to go to Egypt after watching The Prince of Egypt as a kid. I was obsessed. And he wouldn't bring me for obvious reasons because I was a child and it was Egypt. And now I spend the past 8 years of my life, I think I've gone to Egypt at least once or twice. To the point where now I'm please don't send me anywhere but Egypt. So You get what you wish for, unfortunately, sometimes.
Okay, you said you had a couple of World Cups in the spring. What does that schedule look like, and what does the road to Paris look like for you?
So I did Egypt back in March, first World Cup, but okay, just was a practice competition. I leave for Budapest next week, so that's also going to be a good practice competition.
Also a big stronghold.
Big stronghold in the sport, Hungary. I'll stay there for a week afterward and do some training with some of the European fencers, and then I'm going to kind of judge whether or not I do another pentathlon with how I feel over the spring. But I think I feel good with a big build-up. One of my best seasons was actually coming off of COVID, because I hadn't competed in a while, and I just had this long time to train and just, get ready. And so I really wanted that same feeling going into the Olympics. So I'm trying not to compete too much. I'm trying to stay fresh.
What does success look like for you at the Olympics?
I want to leave knowing that no matter what happens, I don't want to get hard on myself. I don't want to be upset. I want to know that no matter what, I'm leaving that day knowing that that was the end, because I am retiring after this Olympics. So I want to know that was the end of a really beautiful career and that I treated it with such respect.
You've now become a citizen of Team Keep the Flame Alive.
Amazing.
Our very own country sugar star.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
We enjoy now having another modern pentathlete to cheer for.
That's awesome. I love that. Any eyes we can get on the sport is amazing. It's a really great
and so
sport.
many changes and upheavals,
and
it's hard.
And I try to explain to people all the time. I'm like, there's this weird misconception that in our sport we're just mediocre at 5 things, and that is not the case. The athletes in our sport are incredible. We have runners that could challenge Olympic runners. We have riders who've ridden, on their teams. We have fencers who are currently fencing in their national teams as well as doing pentathlon. These athletes are
we're done. We're just chatting for a second.
So it's really watching. I wish more people could see that these athletes are insane and they're beautiful.
We hear you. Preach.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you to all of our guests, and best of luck to you in Paris, and we hope you have a lot of fun here in the City of Lights. We would like to give a special thank you to our patrons, and during Paris, while we're here, so this has already started, we have decided that every patron, no matter what level they're at, will get a picture of the day sent to them. That is going to be a picture that doesn't get posted anywhere else, so it's exclusive content. And then patrons at the $5 level and up will get special video content that will not be necessarily every day, but it will be several times throughout the games. We've already had 2 things. So if you're at the $5 and up, you get to see what our hotel room looks like, and you get to see us catching the wave.
Tahiti, here we come. That's all we'll say. Où ta accreditation? I know I did it wrong, but you know what I mean.
Where is my accreditation? That is a good question. So we have had some travel adventures.
You would think that this would have been a simpler trip, and yet we somehow managed to make it not simple.
Yeah, so we both left on the same day, and we were going to arrive within an hour of each other, I believe. You were flying JFK direct to Paris.
Correct. So out of New York.
Yes. I was going to fly Cleveland to Philadelphia, Philadelphia to Paris.
Thunderstorms had other ideas for you.
Yes, exactly. And we'll start this with the beginning of the week. We have just been inundated with emails from 3 different organizations, and we're trying to wrap everything up and get packed. And I said, I will take a look at this all on the morning I leave. And I saw that you might need customs forms to have customs declarations. And I said, what would you need customs declarations for? And one of the things, it was 2 different kinds of materials. One would be stuff that you were importing permanently into the country. And one of the line items was goodies, like American or Olympic tchotchkes and types of things. They didn't say tchotchkes, but Olympic stuff. And
so pins.
Yes, and I'm walking through with bags and bags of pins because we do have our Keep the Flame Alive pins here. And then the other thing was temporary import, and that included technical gear, of which I have an entire suitcase that is only gear for the podcast. So I sat down and I'm filling out these customs forms, which includes building an inventory, and unfortunately I am not a list packer. So I had to open up my suitcase and do the whole inventory.
Ouch.
And then when I looked up, I saw that my flight had been canceled, my first flight to Philadelphia. And I'm looking around, and of course, the automated thing says, oh, well, we got another option for you. And it says, oh, that's the next day going to Charlotte. I'm like, is it? No, that's not an option. So I call American, and shout out to Desiree. Oh, I had to talk with a couple of customer service representatives from American. Both were fantastic. I cannot give them enough credit. So helpful, so quick. This was fantastic. And she said, and in the meantime, while I'm waiting on hold, I see that there is an earlier flight to Philadelphia, and I cannot get there in time.
And it had not been canceled.
And it had not been canceled. No, it was going to get to Philly just ahead of the thunderstorms. And then I'm sure my flight in Philly would have been delayed, but I would have gotten there. So Desiree puts me on Cleveland to JFK, JFK to London, London to Paris. And I'd get there a few hours probably after you. So, okay, let's do it. The JFK flight gets delayed because now we're in thunderstorm territory, and the plane is supposed to come from JFK to Cleveland, and we're going to get on and go back to JFK. And that's...
No, you're not.
No, because it got delayed so much that I was going to miss the next flight. Even if it had been delayed, it wasn't happening. So I go and get my bag back, and I think I might be able to get on an Aer Lingus flight.
Which would not be a bad option.
No, it flies direct from Cleveland to Dublin, Dublin to Paris. Wonderful. But it took so long to get my bag back because now regular flights are coming in, plus flights are getting canceled, so all these baggage handlers have like double work to do. And my bag eventually comes back, and it's way too late to buy a ticket. So I got to spend another night at home. That was nice.
I did not. Off I went. Flew to Paris. My flight was very delayed, but we got here. Mm-hmm. I get to the airport, got to the nice accreditation people. There was nobody at the accreditation desk. It was a lot of the volunteers' first day. They were lovely. I was not on one person's list. I was on another person's list. They found me, but I had no car. So I had to wait for like an hour and a half. And shout out to the volunteer, Eric, who basically stayed with me for an hour and a half so that I didn't get lost in the airport or, standing in the garage, which is basically where I was waiting for the car, until he got me in my car and sent me on my way. But your adventures did not end when you finally got on a flight and arrived in Paris.
No, because you got here Thursday, and you found our hotel and our hotel room, and then you had to do some enhancements. We'll explain that in a minute. But that's when the big tech outage hit Microsoft, and it also affected the accreditation system. So the whole accreditation system was down. Forget it. And so that meant I didn't get my accreditation papers were not valid yet. They couldn't be validated, so I couldn't get into the main press center if I wanted to go that day. I couldn't get into any venues that day. Then I also didn't get my transit card, because we also get a transit card here. And that got tied to your accreditation, and that all had to go at the same time. I will say one quick aside, when we're talking about kind of like the carbon decreasing efforts that Paris 2024 has made, when we went to China, when we got our accreditation cards, they were laminated and in a little folder. This time around, they just put the paper that goes into the lamination thing into our little folder and sent that, so it was much lighter. And we were talking about how many accreditations they probably have to send out.
Because it's not just journalists, it's coaches, athletes, staff, as I say, Olympic family. I mean, there are thousands of accreditations that are going out.
Volunteers all have accreditation. So many accreditations out there, so that the weight that they saved for shipping these things had to be significant.
Because you have to get it validated. You have to get your accreditation turned on. So it's not like they added a step for us.
Right.
They just added a laminating machine at the desk of the accreditation people, which took all of 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was really, really quick. So props to the organizing committee for thinking of that. Then I just got into my car, and I was driven to the hotel, and you were out, And I walked into the room, and you had warned me the room was tiny.
I had warned you a few things about the room.
Yes.
The room is tiny, which we expected. I mean, it
Yes.
is Paris. European hotel rooms are not American hotel rooms. We knew that. We didn't know that we didn't actually have a bathroom. We have a bathroom in the room.
Right. The way you described it to me, I really thought there was a shower head hanging from the ceiling, and we would like wrap a curtain around us, and there was a drain there in the middle of the room. That is not the case.
The sink is in the room.
Yes, out right next to the beds.
Right next to the bed, and then the shower opens into the room. Like when you open the shower door, you hit the bed.
Yes.
The toilet is, and it's very, you can't turn around in the little toilet room.
No, it's very...
Thankfully, we are small people.
It's a very narrow toilet closet. And yeah, that's it. And our closet consists of 3 hangers.
There's no
6
closet.
Hangers, I'm sorry, there's 6 hangers. And that's, yeah.
There's a stick out of the wall of about maybe 6 inches with six hangers on it.
Yes.
Next to your bed.
Right. So we have a funky...
we have bunk beds. Just say it. We have bunk beds, and it looks like a prison cell.
Yeah, but it's an L-shape bunk bed. So I have a bed on the bottom. Thank you for the double. My bed on the floor sticks out parallel to the hallway. Your bed is perpendicular to mine. So you have a single, it's bunked. And I have a ledge on either side of my bed for a bedside table. You have a ledge up by you.
Allegedly.
We have a tiny little desk that is maybe 1.5 sizes of our laptops.
Oh, yeah. 2 laptops can't fit on it.
No. So, and then this tiny little sink that has a little ledge underneath it, little shelf underneath it, and then we have a ledge along the wall that is where a lot of our toiletries are. And
basically, we have things all over the floor. We're living out of our suitcases.
Yes.
My college dorm was more luxurious back in the 80s than this.
Yes. Yeah.
I long for my cinder block walls.
Right.
At this
Oh
point.
my gosh, that would be heaven. But we there's no drawers, there's no shelf to even put folded clothes on.
There's no hand soap. I had to go to the dollar store to buy hand soap.
Right. And the
Euro store, excuse me, the Euro store.
And you had to buy a hairdryer.
There was no hairdryer. You can rent an iron.
Which is great because I brought almost all linen pants.
So the hotel that the Paris 2024 organizers have chosen as a media hotel is, I don't mean to make it sound like first world problems, because yes, it is clean. No, it is not a viable option for anyone who is attempting to do work as we are. I mean, it would be tough as like an airport hotel when you're just staying a night before your flight. We're here for 3 weeks and we are trying to work and do a job and cover their event. And at this moment, we're going to go to the hotel after we finish taping, and I'm already thinking to myself, we have to go back to the hotel.
Yeah. It's tough because we cannot work there. We can't record there. The Wi-Fi is unsecured, so we are not doing that because the hotel is actually quite big. So we don't want to do that. It does have a gym. The gym is like 5 or 7 posters on a wall that each have a different exercise, so that you can do it in the hallway to the breakfast room, which is just jam-packed, crowded, and it's a very simple breakfast. I know that I posted pictures of my breakfast in Beijing on Twitter every day, and I'll post one breakfast here, but it's going to be the same thing.
And to be fair, Beijing, we had a beautiful, luxurious hotel. I mean, we really did. We cannot expect that from Paris.
No, because my first hotel in Beijing was a 3-star. We ended up at a 4-star, which was very, very, very nice. And even if it wasn't COVID times, it would have been a very, very nice hotel. It was attached to a convention center. For Paris, we requested 3-star hotels. This is a 2-star hotel.
It is listed as a 2-star hotel. But more importantly, the real point we want to make is it is in an extremely unsafe neighborhood. And I mean, truly unsafe, never mind unsafe for 2 women traveling alone. And the Paris organizers have not been responsive to our concerns. They weren't responsive when we were concerned the first time around, when we got this assignment.
Right.
we said, this doesn't look like a safe neighborhood.
And they said, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. And also kind of said, don't complain. You can't have American expectations. And I could live with buying hand soap in the dollar store. I could live with the quality of the hotel if we were safe. And we are not. And Paris 2024, that is not okay.
Yes. The hard thing is when the whole accommodation system was set up poorly, because they divided the city into different regions, and you could pick a region and then you pick the hotels. They only let you pick one region for accommodation. And we had looked at a whole bunch of regions, and we said, well, we're willing to stay in like 3 regions. And when we got and we wanted a 3-star hotel because we figured, yes, it's small, but it will be comfortable, and that's what our budget can do. When we got this 2-star hotel, it was nowhere near anything we had requested. The only good thing about it is it's cheap. It's half the price of what we budgeted. Come on, half the price. But it really, during the day, it's working class neighborhood, a lot of refugees, it seems like, a lot of immigrants, and there's some flea markets, open air markets, which are, some of them are very appropriate for the type of cultures that are in. And if you're thinking of Africa or the Middle East, and they had these open air markets and bazaars, that we walked through one today that it was bustling.
And it was fun. It was lovely. There was not, the problem is that's one block.
That is one block. You go a different direction, which is how we have to get to the tram, which will take us directly to the media center or the main press center. That is the flea market of people who dump whatever they can into a sheet and tie it up and then lay it on the ground. And there's also a lot of bustling and a lot of desperation there. And desperation can make people do weird things. We don't know. During the day, that's okay. At nighttime, the first night we were here, you, Trooper, were just like Captain Transportation. We're like, we're going this way. And then we start walking through a homeless enclave. So if you were thinking that all the homeless get shoved out of Paris, they did not. They're still here. We're walking through them. And homelessness is tough to talk about in a way because these people have problems, and helping them with their problems to get them to a place where they can have stable and safe housing can take a long time and a lot of investment, and it's not for everybody. So we were walking down the sidewalk, and we had, in the middle of the sidewalk was where you walked, and on one side by the buildings, people were camping out for the night, and on the other side of us was the curb area where other people were camping out for the night. And while we were walking, one man was having a bad day, and he started getting into it with another guy on the other side of us. And I'm thinking, we're walking through this. Why are we walking through this when we crossed the street to be on this side and walk, and our hotel is back on the other side of the street? And then I looked over to see the other sidewalk on the other side of the road and went, oh, it's pitch black on that side of the street. That's why we're not walking there, because that's also dangerous because we don't know what's there either. And that was a tough night to walk through.
Yes. But we're working on it. We are.
We tried again. We went to a different exit. We walked through a tent city. It was quiet, but we don't know what that means because this is not our city. We don't necessarily. We've lived in big cities and we've experienced walking through homeless areas, and we kind of know what America is like. We don't know what it's like here. We don't know necessarily how the people are managing their lives, and if somebody's having a bad day, are they gonna hear us coming and take it out on us?
And like you said, we've both lived in big cities. We've lived in Chicago. We've lived in Boston. I've certainly spent a great deal of time in New York. I am not naive enough to think that big cities aren't dangerous places, especially for a woman traveling alone at night. Mm-hmm. However, there are levels, and there are places that you go and places you don't go. And obviously we do not know Paris, mm-hmm. and we trusted the organizing committee to select media hotels that were not in neighborhoods that you don't go to. And they did not do that.
And they continue to say, this is okay. sent a strongly worded email to Accommodation and got a response back today. Well, we visited your hotel on this date and walked around and walked to the train stop. Here's the tram. Here's a picture of where you can go. It was perfectly fine. And I had to respond, what time of day were you going? Because the problem is we start recording at the end of the day, end of the competition day, which means we're leaving the main press center at 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. And we have a half an hour tram ride back to our place. And then we get off and we have to walk through who knows what.
For several blocks. It's not like it's a block.
It's like a 10, 15-minute walk.
Right. Yeah.
And to feel so ignored and to feel like they do not care about our safety, they don't care about women, and it's just like, oh, but I've walked through this. It's totally fine. No, buddy, you haven't. Come walk with us.
And not only that, but we also start very early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to be leaving probably prior to morning rush hour.
Right.
And is that going to be okay? Or are we going to have to change our production schedule, change our ability to cover your event because you can't provide us with the base level of services?
Right. And the solution they've come up with is, well, there's a resale platform. You can see if somebody wants to buy your place and you get another one. Are you kidding me? We don't have time for that.
We are trying to cover your event. You accredited media. And to me, that says you agree to provide us with a very base level of services. We are not looking for a cheap room at Le Méridien.
Right.
You know, we are not looking for a private car with driver. We are looking for base level safety.
Yes.
And a base level function to where, you know, could we work in the room? No, we have unsecured Wi-Fi.
Right.
How in what world, in what country is that an acceptable business model?
Business model is the big key here. We can't run our business in the situation that they put us in. That's tough. Thanks, Paris 2024. We could talk about this for hours, and it's probably not a great idea.
But I don't want anyone to worry. We are mitigating this. We are figuring out ways to work around it. We're together. We're being careful. Mom, I'm okay.
Ditto. But yes, we're sitting in the Paris Media Center, which we got to check into as well. It is a lovely building, like we've said. And one of the things that the Paris Media Center is doing is putting on tons of press conferences to introduce you to different elements of Paris. They have different events. They have tours.
Cocktail party.
Cocktail party. We went to a cocktail party for the opening with lovely drinks, non-alcoholic, alcoholic. And they had little hors d'oeuvres. That was very nice. They also have self-guided tours that we can go on, so that's something to look forward to. But today, we went on an event that we didn't quite know. I don't even know why we signed up for this.
It seemed like a good idea at the time, and it actually turned out to be the best idea.
Right? Because we're tired and we're cranky from the stress we feel over the hotel situation. And we did this thing where we went to a place called The Wave.
The Wave.
And it is a place in Paris that it's not a wave pool.
No, it's, if you've ever been on a cruise ship and you've seen the artificial surfing surface, it's like that, but better. And I mean that quite literally, because often those surfaces are hard and they're more like the artificial ice that you'll skate on.
Yeah.
This was spongy and trampoline-y.
Yeah, it was more like a bouncy house.
With water.
With water, and we got to bodyboard and wakeboard and had a blast. This was something we never thought we'd be, like, I didn't know we could stand up.
You were great.
And you on the bodyboard, man, just zipping around. So we did that for like an hour, and the wave was really something. When Paris got the games, they wanted to invest money in more sports and more different sports. So this is a way for you to kind of get introduced to surfing a little bit, because the guys who were the instructors could just do tons of stuff, and it kind of looked like they were skateboarding on these waves. in a way, but you've got the feeling of what it must be like to serve.
So thank you very much, Paris Media Center, for providing that opportunity for us, because it was a lot of fun. And this is just open to the public. There were other sessions happening before us and after us, and families in Paris can just come and check this out.
And they have a squash court on the upstairs.
The volunteers who came with us, who escorted us there, ended up going upstairs and playing squash, and they came back laughing about their adventure. So they are also providing these things for the volunteers as well, which is a nice benefit for them.
That's very sweet. So we will have a link to the Wave in the show notes. If you are ever in Paris, we highly recommend checking it out.
Patrons.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You may get to see some wave action.
That is correct. And we got interviewed by Austrian television.
And all of a sudden, I turned my head and Jill is being interviewed in German. I didn't know what had happened. I mean, I knew you spoke German, but I didn't realize that it was Austrian television because they were with us.
Mm-hmm.
And they came and they said, oh, we're going to ask you a few questions. We're going to film you. We said, fine. That's just kind of par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, reporters helping reporters. And then all of a sudden, Jill breaks out the German. And what is happening behind me?
Well, it's on they were from ORF, which I knew was Austrian television. And we're trying our best to speak French. We're really trying. And it's funny because we've been told we've had very good bonjours.
And then they talk to us in French, which is, I feel that's very kind of them. And I'll get and I said this to you before, I'll get 50% of the first two sentences. And then I lose them, my brain explodes, and I have to say too much French. And I'm
and then they look at you and go, oh, I didn't know you didn't speak French.
Because we'll get a couple of, I can always get the question out because I practice the question before I say it. But then they expect me to interpret what they just said and be able to form another sentence. That's not happening.
Right.
Not yet. Maybe ask me in a month. Maybe we'll do better.
I hope we do better, because then when I can't think of the French word or don't know the French word, I just switch into German, because of course isn't everybody's second language German. So I have half thinking in very, very basic French and partially thinking in German and talking in English, and it's starting to it's messing with me. But I did try. I don't know. I think, when I said I spoke some German, they were like, oh, do you want to try doing an interview? I'm like, yeah, we'll try doing an interview in German. I think it was super basic, and they went, you don't really speak German. I go, it's been a long time.
And she didn't ask you to do it again in English.
No, she did not. So that was good enough. I think, get this weird lady off the stage.
This weird old surfing lady.
Yes.
So Tahiti, here we come.
Exactly. So we have been also to the main press center, because the accreditation system did come back up, and I am fully accredited now. Can get in.
You're legal.
A situation, and when we got to Beijing, I was walking around the main press center and everybody's got these backpacks on. I'm like, what is this? Where do you go? And I turned a corner and discovered that, the press gets a backpack and a little guidebook in print of all of the venues and what's on every day and where workrooms are and stuff like that. So you always had that on your pocket in case you couldn't get on the system for whatever reason. And that was great. So we had a long talk about...
Because you ended up getting two backpacks because you got an Olympics and a Paralympics backpack.
Right. And I didn't know I was getting a backpack, so I had brought a backpack with me, and the backpack was too big to fit in Singapore Airlines under-seat bag requirements. So I had to bring another tote. So I was suddenly walking around with 4 bags that I had to fit into other suitcases.
And we have since learned every Olympics, the media gets a bag.
Right.
Except now. So I got to go buy a bag. That's the short. Let's just skip to the short version of the story. Yes. We didn't get a bag. I got to go buy a bag.
Yes.
Which led us to the Megastore.
Right. So we have been to the Megastore today.
Still didn't buy a bag because I didn't like the bag at the Megastore.
Yes. Lots and lots of free stuff.
There is frige everywhere in that Megastore, which is fantastic. We met the €800 giant frige, both Para and Oli, and they were lovely. Didn't say much.
No.
Looked a little creepy, but lovely.
They have a lot of t-shirts, a lot of clothes.
As expected.
They have a line of t-shirts that is the pictogram, which are kind of cool looking. They have a jigsaw puzzle of the poster. They have the posters, of course. They also have coloring sheets of the posters.
Which I think I suggested when we...
Yeah, you did.
Great minds.
Wow. And some other random stuff like baking a baguette kit and notebooks, pens, that kind of stuff. Pez dispensers. If you like Pez dispensers, you can get one with the Frige.
There wasn't really anything where I said, oh, I can't believe they're producing that item.
Mm-hmm.
It was very expected.
Yes, berets.
Berets with the Frige and with the Paris logo. Either there's a black with the logo, a red with the Frige.
Yes. So I spent a lot of money. I'm impressed you walked out of there with nothing.
I like to
think about it.
I like to mull.
Okay. I learned after not being able to get a Bing Duan, just you got to buy it now. That's my thought. So the Megastore is there. It is open. We'll put a picture up somewhere of one of the you can only use Visa here, which is great. It's this picture of Adam Peaty. And I know he's supposed to be excited, and it says, oh, you can only use Visa. But he looks like he's yelling, I don't have a Visa credit card. What do you mean?
Don't you say anything bad about my Adam Peaty.
That's right. So that is all good. We have had dinner with Ben Waterworth from Off the Podium.
In person. That was so exciting.
So much fun to hang out with him. And, yeah, we've just been trying to get acclimated and figure out what to do and where to go and what to get done. The Seine is really blocked off today.
We cannot get anywhere near the river. Most of the bridges are shut down. Many of the stops, the metro stops near the venues are closed right now. Some of them will be open again after the opening ceremonies. Many of them will not. So bring your comfortable walking shoes or be happy you're on the couch because you are going to walk. Mm-hmm. And I mean, not just, oh, it's a city, you have to walk. No. You may have to walk the distance of 3 metro stops because that's the closest metro stop.
Right. And we're unsure of what's going to change after the opening ceremonies is over, but if you're coming in ahead of time, yeah, watch that. But you got to see the club.
So one of the other Paris Media Center events was the opening of La Terrasse de Jeux, which is the courtyard in front of Hotel de Ville. And they have set it up as a giant watch party, a giant demonstration space, a concert venue, pop-up shops, food vendors. It is fantastic. They can fit as many as 12,000 people in there. Mostly it's going to be 6,000 at a time, but I think for opening ceremony and some of the other big events, they're going to configure it in such a way. And it is free for everyone. It is open to all. It's open every day between now and the end of the Paralympics. So if you are going to be in Paris, absolutely swing by and take a look. They'll have screens and sports demonstrations, and the whole thing is covered with the spongy sport floor, which is very strange to experience outdoors for me, for some reason. There are dedicated areas for French food, promoting French gastronomy. There's also a really beautiful space for the victims of domestic abuse and violence, where they have psychologists and other service providers on hand, where you can just kind of slide into the room and get help and assistance. So what an amazing way to use an open public space to highlight that issue and give people an opportunity to get some assistance and help and find a way out of those situations. I did get sent to another cocktail party, which I know is so rough, and which led me to say to you, we as press are not experiencing certain things like the ordinary people. I didn't have to wait in the line to get into La Terrasse. I didn't have to bring my own water. I didn't have to bring my own snacks. I didn't have to stand in the heat. I got ushered up to the VIP terrace with the shade cover and the snacks and hors d'oeuvres and signature cocktail and ice cream cones. Ice cream cones.
It was nice. The pictures you have were pretty sweet.
So I absolutely do appreciate the opportunity that having accreditation has given to us that most people don't get to do. I have never been to a VIP room in my life. There is, and I swear, I almost did a little dance when I saw the actual velvet robe. It might not have been velvet. It might have been sort of plasticky. But still, they actually like had a security guard that I had to get by, and it was a big giant man who looked down at me and said something in French, which I assume is, "Are you supposed to be here, little girl?" And I held up my bracelet. I had a bracelet, like one of those little the paper bracelets, and then he steps aside and like holds his hand out to usher me up the steps. I said, I think I'm in the wrong place. But yeah, so thank you again to the Paris Media Center for giving that opportunity. And we'll have pictures of that coming up on the our Instagram account, and you can find that at Flame Alive Pod.
And it was a good thing you got ice cream and cool cocktails, because the last couple of days have been extremely hot here. It's been over 90. We clocked, we saw one thermometer that said 35 degrees
Celsius.
We did get a thunderstorm rolling in last night, overnight, and it's a little cooler today. Hopefully those temperatures will hold. But yeah, it's pretty sunny and pretty bright here. So keep that in mind if you're coming, and we'll have a heat watch on every day.
And if you are staying at home, be prepared to see a lot of sweat. And I don't mean from the athletes.
The spectator guide has been released.
So this is spectator guides for people attending events. There is a guide for each venue, and it's tied specifically to the sports. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. The one thing I want to highlight is it's for all sports. The guide suggests arriving 1.5 hours before your session begins. So be prepared to wait in lines. And for those staying at home, be prepared to hear about tough security, long lines, difficulties in terms of getting to venues on the metro, just time. Everything is going to take a very long time to do.
Right, because I would imagine you're wanding at least, or going through at least the metal detector, because we have to put our stuff in metal detectors to get into each of our media centers.
Every time we come in.
Yes, and get credentials scanned. So, yeah, they're on the lookout. There are so many cops and soldiers all over the city, different units. You'll see different uniforms, and we were told today that one of them had these flat berets. Oh, they're from the Alps. And, yeah, you really do see them all around, and they're really getting ready for the opening ceremony. So hopefully that will all go off without a hitch.
Oh my goodness.
Just
as we're talking about safety, thank you, Paris, for giving us a little ambient noise appropriate to our story.
While you were partying, I went to an IOC press conference, because the IOC executive board is meeting now, and they'll have some press conferences. Then the IOC session will have its meeting, and we expect to hear the hosts named for 2030 and 2034, the Winter Games. But one of the people at the press conference was your boyfriend, Kit McConnell. And because I was attending with Ben, who is decked out in Team Australia gear, Kit, who is a Kiwi, came up to him afterwards, and they had a little chat. I got to shake Kit's hand and then got promptly ignored because I'm nowhere near Australia.
This may be the end of our partnership, Jill. You're trying to steal my IOC boyfriend.
I am not trying to steal your IOC boyfriend.
We do love our IOC staff.
Exactly. So we'll have more on that business front later on in the week. And yeah, we're getting ready. It's next episode we have will be 2 days to go.
It'll be Paris, day -2. There is competition starting, and we will be heading out and seeing some venues for the first time.
Exactly. Also, a shout out to Shukflastani Allison Levine, who was officially named to Team Canada's Boccia team.
And at the U.S. Para Track and Field Trials, javelin thrower Justin Fong-Savon qualified for the Paris Paralympics. He won with the third furthest throw in his class in history. Not to be outdone, shot putter Noel Malcolmaki also qualified for the Paralympics, just going on setting a new world record. So congratulations to both of them. We will see you in about a month.
Exactly. And that is going to do us for this episode. Let us know what you think of Team USA's chances at Paris 2024.
You can find us on X, YouTube, and Instagram at FlameAlivePod. Send us an email at flamealivepod@gmail.com. Call or text us at 208-352-6348. That's 208 Flame It. Chat with us and other fans on our Facebook group, Keep the Flame Alive Podcast, and sign up for our soon-to-be daily newsletter that'll be starting on Wednesday with even more Olympic and Paralympic info for you. You can do that at our website, flamealivepod.com.
As I mentioned, on Wednesday, we will start our daily coverage from the Paris 2024 Olympics. Please do not forget to tell a friend about the show if people are getting excited about the games and are starting to watch. Don't forget, you can still get your copy of our Olympics and Paralympics viewing guide. That's on Amazon and Apple Books, and we will have a link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, keep the flame alive.